Hello there, welcome to Blitz Transmissions. This is the Blitzcast number 75. I'm Tommy. Before we get into the content of this week's episode of the Blitzcast, as always, make sure to check out the laundry list of links that can be found in the description below. If you are watching on YouTube, or if you're not watching on YouTube and you're not subscribed for some reason, please subscribe, because that's where most of my content comes out, and I've got awesome Star Wars content coming out all the time. If you're an ARC Trooper in my Patreon, you would have seen this Blitzcast episode early. If you'd like access to early content, monthly giveaways, and other awesome benefits, the link to my Patreon is in the description below. Become an ARC Trooper for just $4.99 a month. If you're a fan of the reviews I do on YouTube, or you want to support the YouTube channel more directly, you could also check out my YouTube channel membership, Rancor Battalion. For just 99 cents a month, it gives you access to exclusive badges, priority replies in my comments section. You get to vote on what I review next for the channel, just like the Patreon members do, and you get to check out all my reviews early here on YouTube. If you'd like some Blitz Transmissions swag, like this Blitz Transmissions t-shirt I have on right now, as well as plenty of other awesome merch, you can check out the Blitz Transmissions Armory over on Printify. Link to that is in the description below. And there's also links to all kinds of other stuff like my Discord server, my Instagram, my Blitz Bounties Instagram, my X, my TikTok, and then also you can email me at blitztransmissions@gmail.com. Before we get into the episode as well, let me just give a shout out to our sponsors that are not actually sponsors. I would highly recommend, I'm going to start including their links in every description of every video as far as the Blitzcast goes. Also check out my fellow members of the Syndicate, the Sarlacc Digest podcast, and the Shadow Nose Network. Those guys are awesome. Check them out, especially on YouTube. You can also check out CARBONITES. That is a company I love to support. Cube Squadron Kickstarter for Micro Galaxy Squadron. We've got, we're almost to 1,500 Kickstarter funders on that, backers on that. So help them get to 1,500. Check out Cube Squadron, link in the description below. And in addition to that, I believe that's everything. Also, of course, support ICCCon, the Imperial Commissary Collectors Convention in Murfreesboro, Tennessee. Check that out as well. Well, everybody, welcome to another episode of the Blitzcast. I'm doped up on too much caffeine. I took an unexpected 4-hour nap this afternoon. I'm ready to go. We're ready for another episode of the Blitzcast this week. What do you know? This actually came out on a Saturday if all went to plan, so I'm pretty hyped about that. Let's get right into some housekeeping because we've got some stuff to discuss this week on the Blitzcast. I hope everybody's doing well. I'm feeling much better. I'm no longer sick. I'm ready to go back to work, so I'm really excited to get into all that. So, of course, since the last Blitzcast episode, you can, of course, as always, check out the latest episode, episode 58 of the Sarlacc Digest Toy Chest with myself, Darth Moocher and Scott Solo of the Sarlacc Digest, and Alexander Storm of Shadow Nose Network. We did our last episode. We talked a little bit about, some of the debacles going on with, Walmart Dumbass Collector Con. We talked about, Target street dating things that already came out months ago. Talked about, what's going to be in stores come Sunday. I did get a few reviews out this past week. One for the Disney Parks Droid Factory QTKT. That was a really exciting one for me to do personally. Did also do reviews for the Black Series Quinlan Voss by Hasbro, as well as the Black Series Gaming Greats Purge Trooper and Patrol Trooper by Hasbro as well, the Walmart exclusive. You can check out some of my short form content I posted this past week. I did get this 2-pack. I found it on store shelves. Super excited about that. Can't believe I found it. This doesn't even ship till April 8th if you pre-ordered it in the US. So I was really stoked to have found that pack. So the review is out now. And then I did also find some Mando Grogu stuff. I did only pick up the Mando Grogu Imperial Remnant AT-AT driver, but I did also find almost the entire Black Series wave and the deluxe vintage collection Mando and Grogu as well. So I picked that up for my dad because pretty much all the other stuff, I've already gotten emails from Big Bad Toy Store that it's shipping soon. So I really don't have a reason to pick that stuff up. So I was like, forget it. So moving on, I do, as far as the March Madness Order 66 edition goes. We've also got a lot going on with that. As of the day this comes out, we will be revealing the bracket for the quarterfinals. We will have concluded round 3. So the entirety of round 3 took place over the course of this last week. We had some great matchups, some really tight races, some very difficult decisions that had to be made, and I am really excited to get into the quarterfinals here. We've had a really nice mix throughout this entire bracket of Clone Wars, Bad Batch, prequel trilogy, comics. It's been a very good, healthy mix of characters. So I've been really happy with that. Also, for my ARC Troopers in the Patreon and my Rancor Battalion channel members, you can also check out, this is out, this won't be out for a few days publicly, but I did also get my review done for the Black Series 7th Sister Inquisitor, again by Hasbro, so really excited for that one as well. That is kind of in limbo right now. I'm kind of pushing that one back a little bit for the public release because I'm putting out all this other stuff for new stuff. Also, keep a lookout. If you're on YouTube, I've got a big collab vlog project that I'm working on with Hybrid, 1313 Podcast, Sarlacc Digest, and Shadownose Network. So come Monday, you'll see something on all of our channels, a little collab video, if you will. So I'm really excited. We've been planning it a lot. We've all already started putting footage together for it. I'm going to edit that, get that out for Monday. So that'll be really exciting. Other than that, though, I don't think there's anything for me to plug or talk about housekeeping-wise. We do have some Star Wars news to talk about, and that is the latest trailer for Maul Shadowlord. Maul Shadowlord is going to be hitting in just a couple short weeks now. I think we're, April 2nd that comes out? And then, no, it's April 6th, my bad. So we're only a little more than 2 weeks out of Maul Shadowlord. I'm really, really excited. It comes out the day after Easter. Oof, I'm stoked for that. It's going to be fun to watch. I'm really excited to get some new Star Wars animation. You guys know I love my Star Wars animation, so I'm really excited to check out some new Star Wars animated projects, guys. But in the midst of all of this excitement, we will also have a cool topic to talk about towards the end of the podcast here, and it's, the title of the video. It's probably why you clicked on this, which is it slop or are you just gatekeeping? So we're going to have that conversation a little bit more towards the end of this Blitzcast episode. But, we'll get into the exciting stuff first with the Maul Shadowlord trailer. So this Maul Shadowlord trailer has gotten a lot of buzz about it. There's a lot of hubbub about this latest trailer, and that is mainly because of the tone of the trailer. The way that this was cut, the way that it was edited, it's very horror-esque, and that's got a lot of people excited. That's something that a lot of people have been asking for from Star Wars for years and years and years. I think the closest we've ever gotten to horror in Star Wars was probably Ewok Hunt in Battlefront 2 2017. No, in all seriousness though, as far as on-screen stuff, I feel like the closest we ever got was the zombie Geonosians in the Second Battle of Geonosis arc of the Clone Wars, and then the Brain Invaders episode where there's the Geonosian parasites that brainwash all the clone troopers and end up even getting to Barriss Offee. That was a crazy episode, and that one's really fun. If you're a horror fan, you'll like that a lot. There's even like different moments in Star Wars: The Clone Wars where that have like horror-esque aspects to them. Like Zombie Night Sisters, that's one as well. And then there's the one episode where Mixer and Red Eye die to that assassin spider droid on the Coronet, that cruise frigate. Really cool. Anyway, as far as the Maul Shadowlord trailer goes, that has really got a lot of people excited again, just from the tone of it. This I don't know that the show will share the same tone, but I do think that it's cool to see them cut something together. And I think it does actually speak to, what we can expect from this show. I mean, we have seen just brutal action, and we saw it again with this trailer, just like in the first one. Dismemberment left and right. They're not leaving anything up to interpretation. They're not, panning the camera away when somebody dies. It's been really, really exciting to, speculate, what kind of stuff we haven't seen yet from this show, because of course these trailers are only a couple minutes long each. And I'm really, really enjoying the consistent excitement for this show. It's going to start. First 2 episodes are going to come out on Monday, April 6th, and I'm really, really stoked. I think what I'm most excited about with Maul Shadow Lords, I do kind of want to dive a little bit more deeply into this. I think part of what I'm excited about is that this is a character that is universally liked. I don't know many people, except for, of course, 212 Hunter, obligatory 212 Hunter mention. I don't know many people that are not a fan of Maul. There's a small camp of people that are not a fan of the fact that he came back at all in the Clone Wars, but I feel like at this point, he's been in so much and he's so integral to the overall story now that there's no going back at this point. But at the same time, I think most people enjoy Maul. Most people like him as a secondary villain, and we saw him escape in the end of the Clone Wars season 7. So I'm really excited to see, how his character shakes out. I don't see this story ending well. And I did see, this is something I want to talk about. I did see that the title of the last episode, I think it's called The Coming Fear or something like that. And it explains why, well, this is my theory. I should give a disclaimer. My theory is that this is where Maul is going to fight Darth Vader. I think that is something that needs to happen because, and we definitely have context clues for that as well, because we get to Star Wars Rebels when Maul senses and lays his eyes on Darth Vader on Malachor. He is beside himself. He is deathly afraid. He's got to get out of there. And there's reason for that, and it's not just because, it wouldn't just be because of what Maul has heard about Darth Vader. I think that this is going to connect some really cool dots here. We're going to get a great duel. Maul's going to get his butt kicked by Lord Vader, and he's going to, have to go into hiding. And I think that everyone around him is going to perish at the hands of Darth Vader, because I think it all kind of lays out nicely. I mean, we see in the trailers Maul is, being tracked down by the Inquisitors, and he's even still being tracked down by the Inquisitors in Star Wars Rebels when we first meet him in Season 2. The 8th brother was, actively hunting the Shadow, as he calls him. And I'm really excited to see how it all shakes out. I think from what we can tell, it looks like the 11th brother and Marok, who is, from what I understand, first brother, are sent to go after Maul. Maul kills Marok, and then we'll have to find out later on how he ends up becoming the Night Sister Fart that he becomes in Ahsoka. Spoilers. But then I think that will get Vader's attention that, okay, this guy is clearly skilled enough that he's killing my Inquisitors. I'm going to have to handle this myself. Or maybe he just we see him killing TK troopers as well, so maybe Maul just causes enough havoc that Vader has to come in. And what I love about this, too, is I think Maul's arrogance will make him, want to fight Darth Vader and make him arrogant enough that he thinks he'll beat him. And this fits Maul's, Sisyphus archetype of his character, where I think he'll get all this power and all these allies throughout the 10-episode series, and then on May the 4th, when it ends, we will see Maul get absolutely obliterated by Darth Vader, and he gets to the top of the hill with the boulder, and then he rolls all the way back down to the bottom of the hill. And that's the story of Sisyphus, if you didn't know. It tracks with what we already saw in the Clone Wars Season 7, because what Maul wanted to do was stop Palpatine by killing Anakin. And he tells Ahsoka that straight up. He even tries to get Ahsoka to team up with him to fight Anakin to stop Palpatine. That's his plan. And Ahsoka even tells Maul, Maul can't even beat Ahsoka in a duel, let alone defeat her master, the one that trained her. So that's cool to me. I think that it definitely tracks, because Maul's arrogance is what will be his undoing. So that to me is really exciting. I'm really stoked to see how this shakes out. I think Maul will see Vader, think this is how I get my lick back on Palpatine, and he'll fight him. I think it'll be a good duel, but I think he'll get absolutely destroyed in the end. and have to go back into hiding. And then somehow we'll get into how we end up seeing him in Solo, because you have to remember Solo, I believe, is about 10 years after Revenge of the Sith, so maybe like 8 or 9 years after the events of Maul Shadow Lord. Hopefully, this series, sets itself up for like some sort of season 2, and we could continue to follow Maul leading up to his appearance in Maul in Solo, a Star Wars story. I would like to see that. Hopefully, from what I've seen, from the excitement, the general excitement that the fandom has for this series that's coming up, I think that we will put ourselves in a good position and be able to do that. We'll see, though. Maybe they'll set it up and tie a nice bow on it so that that won't be the case. Let's see. Just checking my notes off to the side here. I'm trying my best to keep notes. But yeah, that's what I feel like. That's how I feel like this is going to play out. We have the stones that have already been set. We have the story beats that have already been set. Maul wants to be a thorn in Palpatine's side. He wants to, kill Anakin. Anakin becomes Darth Vader. Maybe Maul even, maybe he doesn't figure that out, but maybe he does. Maybe he senses that this is Anakin, and that's why Vader ultimately will defeat him. And I'm stoked to see that fight. I really hope we see that fight. I think people have been speculating for years and years and years. I know Darth Moocher and Grand Admiral Franz were talking about it on the last episode of the Sarlacc Digest podcast this past Wednesday, where they were talking about they've been speculating about Maul fighting Darth Vader since 1999 when the Phantom Menace come out, and everybody thought that Maul was going to be the big bad of the prequel trilogy. So that's super cool to me as well. So this could be something that, people have maybe been speculating about. Of course, Dave Filoni himself, being such a big Star Wars fan, I would assume he himself has either speculated it or talked to people who have also speculated, Maul and Darth Vader going head to head. And I think that'll be a fight for the ages. I think that'll be something we're really excited to see. But overall, I'm really excited. I think it's familiar in the sense that it's generally Clone Wars style animation, which I and many others love. And then on top of that, too, you get the excitement of Maul, the Maul Shadow Lord series having a little bit more of a jagged edge to it. I guess that's the best way to put it. The sabers move a lot differently. The action is a lot more violent and abrupt, and it's something a little bit more for Star Wars fans who have been around the block already, whereas I've said it before, The Mandalorian and Grogu, that's for your casual audience, that's for people that haven't been around the block with Star Wars, and that I think that Maul Shadow Lord is something that a little bit more serious, something I think you will enjoy this more if you're established in the fandom a little bit, and you already have a general idea at least of why is Darth Maul alive after Episode 1, The Phantom Menace? And I'm very excited. So maybe we'll dive into that next week on the Blitzcast. Kind of get us caught up on Maul, what he did, what his story is, so that going into Maul Shadow Lord, we have a little bit of a refresher. And I always have that line in my head from the trailer where I'm assuming he's talking to Devin Azara. I will show you the galaxy for what it truly is. And I also, the line that from the Clone Wars that always stuck in my head, Maul's talking to Obi-Wan, one of their first interactions. Do you know how long I had to stay alive with my singular hatred for you? Sam Witwer's delivery on the lines. When I was a kid, I loved Sam Witwer's delivery. When I was a kid, I always, when I was playing with my Star Wars toys, I always worked really hard to make myself, sound as much like the characters, at least in my head, as I could, and the voice actors. And I got really, I got really good at that over time. You guys know I do impressions of all kinds of Star Wars characters on the channel from time to time. My latest one, I love to do Saw Gerrera all the time. Bodhi, Rook, cargo pilot, local boy, huh? Breathe in the Rido. Breathe it in. But I've always had an affinity for doing like impressions and stuff, and Maul always was one that, you know, I had like I gravitated toward. Just Sam Witwer's delivery, and Peter Serafinowicz, is that his name from Phantom Menace? It's consistent to me. Like those two interpretations of the voice, you know, at last we will reveal ourselves to the Jedi. At last we will have revenge. I'm like, ooh, it's just so it's so dark side, so fitting for that character. I absolutely love Maul's delivery. I could geek out about Maul all day long. I love Maul. I have multiple hot toys of different looks of Maul. I have his Phantom Menace look. I have his Clone Wars season 5 look. I believe it's season. Yeah, that's season 5. Yeah, isn't that season 5 where Maul kills Satine? Oh, I'm a fake fan. I better know that. That's season 5. I'm gonna lock that in. That's season 5. But yeah, just absolutely love that character. This is a great character to do a spin-off show on. I hope that this serves to tie in with other shows like The Bad Batch and the Clone Wars, and, you know, as long as it stays consistent, that's all I care about. And I think it will. You know, it's Dave Filoni at the helm. As far as the animation goes, I know he does a good job. And Sam Witwer is also very hands-on, and Sam Witwer is one of the only people historically to, you know, out-nerd Dave Filoni. And, you know, he'll even correct Dave Filoni on stuff, even all the way back from, like, his time on the Clone Wars, when he first was Maul. But yeah, I'm super excited for that show, man. Just a couple weeks out. It's going to be fun. It's going to be great. I'm excited to cover it week to week here on the Blitzcast. Anything else I want to say on that series? I don't think so right now. I think I've said most of what I want to say. Because again, this trailer, even though I really liked the tone of the trailer, it didn't give us a whole lot more than trailer 1 did. So trailer 2, another big thumbs up from me, and I know for many people as well. They feel the same. So with that, let's get into our topic of conversation this week, and I'll get into what got me thinking about this topic this week. You know, much more of a fandom focused topic as opposed to, you know, me geeking out about Star Wars like we just did for the past 10 minutes here. But it's something that I feel like needs done. You know. This is a topic that came up partially because of honestly, I'll be totally honest. So this topic came up because of a reveal, a Black Series reveal that happened today. There was Yakface, amazing, has this exclusive reveal of this Black Series figure that he found on Walmart's site, ordered it, and they let him order it, sent it to his house. It's a May the 4th Stormtrooper. Super fun, very much in the same vein as like holiday figures and stuff. It's a Stormtrooper. He's got blaster marks all over him, and he's got a soft goods t-shirt that says like pew 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 squad goals. Super stupid, like really funny. And he comes with like a target of the silhouette of Han Solo, and all the blast marks are around the silhouette because, you know, this classic joke, Stormtroopers can't aim. I thought it was a clever and a fun reveal. Not an official reveal to my understanding. It's something that Yak just, you know, happened upon. But shout out to Yakface, the absolute GOAT when it comes to Star Wars action figure news. Go check out his website and his Instagram if you want to see the photos for yourself. And it was the response to it was very negative. From what I saw in his comment section, a lot of people not happy because what he had done was he teased like, hey, there's going to be an in-hand reveal, you know, tomorrow, which was today as of recording this. And myself included, a lot of us were speculating, oh, what could it be? Like, could it be from Phantom Menace? Could it be from, you know, blah, 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 because we were trying to find hints in his post. Well, he ends up posting it. It's this May the 4th, like, commemorative figure. Same vein as like your holiday figures, Valentine's Day, Christmas, Halloween, whatever. I actually have off to the side here still. I put him back in the box, the Valentine's Day Ewok right here. Got to put him in storage still. But we ended up having a conversation in my Discord, and we had a conversation about the title of this podcast this week. You know, is it is it slop or are you just gatekeeping? You know, and I think there's an important distinction between those things. So first thing I want to say, I am a big proponent of speaking your mind and making your voice heard and speaking your opinion. Just because I personally roll my eyes every time I hear the word slop, because it's so, in my opinion, so overused now, and it gets, you know, there's people that call everybody calls something slop, and because it's such a commonplace term now, I feel like that's caused me to, roll my eyes when I hear it. That doesn't mean that you're not allowed to say it. That doesn't mean that it's, wrong to say. So I wanted to make that disclaimer. This is my opinion. This is, my own subjective thoughts. And I think that's kind of where I wanted to come in with this conversation is there's a different, I believe that there's a difference between sharing your opinion on something and then sucking all the air out of the conversation and not allowing any difference of opinion and discourse to actually take place. On that, and that's my other disclaimer. That doesn't mean that if somebody, when I say this, I don't mean if somebody's talking about something being slop, do your best to not get personally offended by it. It's just, that's the whole point of discourse. We have to have conversation. If we stop having conversations when we disagree, communication is key. And if we stop having those conversations, we build resentment toward each other. As a content creator, I'm going to give you my perspective on this, the whole slop thing. I've called things slop before. I have said it and meant it. I've said it and been joking. I don't say it anymore. And like I already said, I roll my eyes when I hear it. And if I do say it, it's tongue in cheek. And I'm, it's more me poking fun at people that are serious when they say it about everything all the time. Just because you personally don't like something doesn't mean that it is bad. Just because you don't think something is good doesn't mean that it is objectively bad. Are there things that are better than others? Are there things that could have been done better? All the time, yes. Nothing's going to be perfect ever. And there's always room for improvement. There are a lot of people who wished that this Stormtrooper action figure, again, just using it as an example, was an in-universe reveal and not this commemorative figure that's a retailer exclusive. And I will say, I was surprised myself. I thought I was going to see some in-universe Star Wars reveal, and then lo and behold, I'm presented with this commemorative figure. And I'm like, oh, my opinion was very lukewarm. Like, oh, it definitely wasn't what I was expecting. It's clever and fun, just like I've been feeling about, this Valentine's Day Ewok that I picked up and the recent holiday figures and the recent Halloween figures. It's just a fun little commemorative thing, and I don't think it's worth getting worked up about. That's my opinion. That is also part of it, though, is I think that this is a multifaceted thing, and some of this conversation is conversation that I've already brought up here on the Blitzcast, so some of this might be a little bit of a rehash, but maybe it's worth mentioning again. I think when it comes to this kind of conversation, this is where it comes from. As a content creator, I've said it a million times, I'll say it again, I know that people love to, get on their live streams and, make fun of me when I say this, but it's the truth. When you have a platform, you do have a responsibility to what you say and how you say it. Because if you don't think about what you say and how you say it, your audience will take what you said and regurgitate it, because people respect what you have to say. They see you as a voice of authority on whatever topic it is you're talking about. And a lot of times, that's the funny thing about social media. A lot of times we are not qualified to talk about half the things that we talk about. And that's my favorite thing, is on social media, we as content creators, we love to give you these big, firm, bold, boisterous takes about everything. We love to have these fiery opinions about this and blah, blah, blah. And when we're not even qualified, we don't even know what the hell we're talking about. We don't even know all the ins and outs of what we're talking about. And it can really taint the conversation, because something as simple as, an action figure gets revealed, or, new Star Wars coming out. This does play a little bit into last week's conversation about when I said, have your own opinion, give something a try. Even if you hear your favorite YouTuber say that they didn't like it. It's like this groupthink mentality, and it drives me nuts. One person, the ringleader, says something, and everybody else follows suit and has the same exact opinion. To me, it's very juvenile, and it's not that real. I guess that's, hey bro, it's not that real. I guess that's the best way to put it. Because what happens is these content creators will, and I'm not talking about anybody in particular, this is a very broad statement. You could go to any fandom, you could go to any special interest, any community online, and you'll find the same kind of thing. What you should be saying and this is how I conduct myself. What you should be doing is being a mature adult and saying, hey guys, this is how I feel about this. If you like it, you like it. If you don't, you don't. But this is how I feel about this. And sometimes I feel strongly about things, but I also recognize that those are my feelings, and my feelings do not reflect objective reality. That it's something that we get taught in first grade in the public education system, that there's a difference between fact and opinion. And oftentimes when your feelings come into play, that is when you have to remember that, what you think about something might be subjective and not objective. And that is something that I think a lot of people have trouble balancing these days, because social media does such a good job of playing on your heartstrings. The issue comes into play when you say, as the content creator, I don't like this. I use the example. This is slop. And if you disagree, you're this, you're that, you're fried, you're stupid, blah, blah, blah. And then your audience takes what you say, because again, they see you as a voice of authority, and they're going to regurgitate that to other people. This is where it goes from you're just sharing your opinion to now you're influencing a culture of gatekeeping. Everybody likes different things. And this goes all the way back to the 2000s. A prequel trilogy came out, and there were original trilogy fans saying, you're not a Star Wars fan if you like these movies. If you don't put OT above all, then you're not a Star Wars fan. That's changed a lot over time, thankfully. But I think that it's moved. It's moved in one way. I've talked about this before on the Blitzcast. It's moved in the sense that now people say prequel fans say the same thing about the sequel trilogy. Fans of animated shows say the same thing about other animated shows. I've made plenty of jokes on the Toy Chest show. Shout out Hal Runner Base. I've said the same thing, Resistance, garbage. I hate Resist. And again, it's the difference though of being, I'll be tongue in cheek when I say it, versus there are people who are, very serious about it. I just don't like the show. It doesn't mean that it's objectively a bad show. And that's the other part, though, is that we have Star Wars has a community of, there's a lot of film bros that are into Star Wars, and, they love the first 3 movies, and they love to critique all the other stuff. And Star Wars is so much more than, critical, movie review type. It's not trying to be the next, Great Gatsby. It's not trying to be the Wolf of Wall Street. It's not trying to be a Quentin Tarantino film. It's just trying to be Star Wars, or do or do not. There is no try. It's being Star Wars. And you just might not like the way that the people that put it together, had their vision of what Star Wars is. It's different from yours. And that's the beauty of art, is that it's subjective. But what gets me is we create this environment where you can't even have conversation, and all the air gets sucked out of the conversation because there's people that are just making definitive statements. This is slop. This is garbage. This sucks. And people are already saying the same thing about Mando and Grogu. They're already saying the same thing about, Maul Shadow Lord. This is garbage. This isn't good. And then because you have such strong convictions about, how you feel, and social media knows how to play off your heartstrings, you look at other people that disagree and you see them as, well, they're wrong. I have to tell them that they're wrong. And that's everywhere in our culture these days. We go from just, we forget that it's okay to disagree. We forget that it's okay to have, you may disagree with everything that I'm saying right now. That's fine. And we should be able to have a back and forth and a discourse about it. That is the difference here. We should be able to come to some sort of common understanding, at the very least be able to say, hey, agree to disagree, shake hands, and go our separate ways. But we build this animosity toward each other, and then it builds into, you start to develop an idea of a person. Like, everything that this person does is wrong and stupid. Everything that this person does, and you build them up to be like a villain in your head. Now, of course, there are always going to be, people that actually do operate this way, that everything they do is to slight another person. But there's nothing you can do about that. That's where it also becomes, let me go on the other side of the coin here, turning the other cheek. If something's annoying you, sometimes it's just not even worth engaging. I look at, I go to the Yak Face comment thread. I commented, oh, hey, oh, this is clever and fun. I'm not sure why, so many people are, very so upset about this. And someone replied to me, I've never seen this user ever, but someone replied, like, you would like it. Okay. It's not even worth replying. First of all, it's not my post. It's not my comment thread. Like, I just dropped a comment on Yak Face's reveal. It's not even worth giving my energy to that negative energy. That is the other part of this, guys. It takes strength to resist the dark side. Only the weak embrace it. Didn't we just talk about this last week? How beautiful it is that we're, keeping theme with last week's episode. And I love that these last several Blitzcast episodes have just kind of flowed into one another. Sometimes it's just worth picking your battles. I deal with this in real life as well, at work, in my personal life. Sometimes you just gotta let stuff roll off the shoulder and just roll with the punches. Sometimes it's not worth the menial tit for tat back and forth with people. I encourage my community on both ends of this argument, because what I love is that I have a Discord server, for example, where I have people that were like, oh, this reveal was slop, and I have people that were like, oh, I like this reveal. And we were able to talk to each other and say, hey, for example, I hate the word slop. I roll my eyes every time I see it. Other people going, oh, I mean, to be fair, I was mostly tongue in cheek when I said it. It's not for me. And we can come to a discourse and a conversation about it, as opposed to people getting all up in arms and upset and, butthurt about it. And it's, but at the same time, though, if you're dealing with if someone's just trying to troll, you have to be able to recognize that online, because it's a very real thing. If someone's trying to troll, if they're just trying to push buttons and make people upset and get reactions, sometimes it's just not worth the energy, because your energy, it gets used up. And when you put so much of your brain power into doing the tit for tat, the back and forth, it's going to drain you. It's going to wear you out, and it's going to make you unmotivated, and it can suck the fun out of the thing that you enjoy. And just as much as I'm saying, right now, that again, I'll use that as the example of the kind of the catalyst of this, the slop argument, responding to it and trying to fight people on it, all the time, that's equally as draining, as the people that feel that they have to say it about everything. If you like it, you like it. If you don't, you don't. And it's that simple. Where it becomes gatekeeping, part of it comes from the content creator, part of it comes from the community as a whole. When it becomes gatekeeping is when we make the definitive statements. And I mentioned this earlier. When we make the definitive statement of this is this is that, this is not this is not that. You have to be very careful of making definitive statements when it's in regards to your subjective thoughts. And that's, this is a thought-provoking conversation here. It's something that I have to remind myself of sometimes. I won't like something, and I have to think about, what is the best way to articulate this? What is the best way to, get my point across without making the people that disagree with me feel like idiots and feel stupid. Because that's one thing. If you want to sway people, and when you're trying to get people maybe to agree with what you have to say, your opinion on something, making them feel dumb and lesser than you is not the way to go about it. Calling people out and, going out of your way to belittle other people is never going to win them over to your side of the fence, to your, win them over to the argument you're making. So you have to be very careful of those things. I think it's very important that we all remain vigilant of that. And that is where that's kind of where I come to the conclusion here is I always encourage discourse. That is my biggest thing. I want to encourage conversation. I encourage difference of opinion. I'm going to let you know how I feel about something, and I would hope that you would do the same. And when we can't communicate, that's how friendships fall apart. That's how communities, governments, societies fall apart, is we stop talking to one another. And it's very important that we keep the conversation going. And that's how we develop new ideas, compromises, solutions. But again, part of that as well, if we demonize people that we disagree with and we gatekeep, you're only going to push people in a direction where they're like, forget this, I'm just going to either walk away entirely or I'm going to do my own thing. And then you create this sense of tribalism where you have different houses of thought or schools of thought that are, now going against one another, as opposed to saying, these guys look at it this way, I look at it a little differently. Especially when it comes to something as stupid and as menial as action figures and Star Wars. It's fiction. It's toys. These are things that are meant to bring you joy. And if they don't, just move on. Why do we have to keep coming back to conversation? Why do you feel that you have to bring it up? That is the question I pose to both sides of the fence, really. Why do you feel like you always have to bring it up? Why do you feel like you always have to make a point? And in many cases, people do it very passive aggressively. They'll make very definitive statements and then make passive aggressive statements toward other people. I understand that though just comes with a level of immaturity. And when you don't have a certain level of maturity, it can really just cloud your judgment and cloud your vision. So that's where I think I'll leave this conversation, is, maybe leave you guys with this for the weekend into the next week. Maybe train yourself, it's just as I titled last week's episode. Oh my goodness. Your focus determines your reality. Wow, I can't believe I almost forgot the Qui-Gon line. It's not like Qui-Gon speaks in slogans the entire movie or anything. There's always a bigger fish. Your focus determines your reality. But I think it's very important that that in this community, especially in the Blitz Brigade, we push for conversation, we push for discourse, we push for difference of opinion. Because that's how we all grow. That's how if we expose ourselves to opinions that we may disagree with or we may not even like, and we seek to understand one another, that is how we can strengthen the community, strengthen friendships, and build this community into a bigger and more positive thing. That's how we start to get away from the poison that has been the rage bait and the anti-woke and the weaponizing Star Wars as a way to push your personal political agenda. That is how we get away from all that, is by seeking to understand one another. And with that, I'll leave you with that. Let me know what you thought of that. That was my conversation this week. That's me preaching at you this week. I'm really excited for Maul Shadow Lord. I really am excited for Mando and Grogu. I'm excited. Got these new toys in the mail. I'm excited to check them out, get them open, review them. Vlogs coming, exciting stuff coming. And with that, guys, make sure to once again check out all the links in the description below. Check me out on all the social media. Check out all my friends in the Syndicate, Cube Squadron, Carbonites, ICC-Con. Come on, man. But yeah, with that, guys, I hope you enjoyed this episode of the Blitzcast. I'll catch you for the next one, and May the Force be with you.
Breaking all whole units. Fire at will. Wall 2, pick your target. Too many.